Hello everyone and welcome back to another video podcast of the whole 115 yards. It's been a while since we've done this, Lindsay, hasn't it?
It has indeed.
And so much has happened. We're really, really happy to be joined tonight by the lovely Peter. How are you doing this evening?
I'm okay, yeah. It's we were just talking then about it's gone a bit chilly now, hasn't it? So I'm glad to be indoors on a cold Friday night.
Yeah, absolutely. Because we were just saying, I've just come in from football as well, hence the lateness of tonight that we're recording it. And yeah, it's absolutely Baltic. So yeah, we'll get the heating on and we'll have a good chat and a good laugh. So Peter, for those of you, for people watching who kind of don't know, I know you've got in your little title there, Women Official Supporters Club SEC. Kind of what does that involve? What does that entail?
Yeah, so I'm the secretary of the Everton Women Official Supporters Club. So I obviously help to run our supporters club, help out with a number of different things, including obviously our singing section, which I'm sure the Aston Villa fans will get to appreciate at the weekend. Yeah, and we do all kinds of different things, all basically aimed at trying to improve the atmosphere at Walton Hall Park in particular, and trying to support the team. I host a podcast on the Blue Room, which is one of the most listened to Everton podcasts around. So certainly on Spotify, we always come up on number one on there, and Apple Music and things. So thankfully, I've been given my own show on that to talk specifically about the Everton women's side, which is great. So we're getting, trying our best to get as much exposure as possible.
Oh, I love that. That's fantastic. We're definitely going to have to check that out. And yeah, one of my questions is going to be about Walton Hall Park, because I haven't managed to get up there yet. Lindsay, have you been before?
No, I haven't. I haven't been, well, I'm such a brummie. I haven't been north of Birmingham very often. If I do, it's been to Manchester, so the wrong side.
Yeah, so not as far. Because we were going to say, how have you seen it change since the Euros in particular, and then the World Cup? Have you seen a massive increase in attendances?
I think so, yeah, because I mean, part of the issue that we had with Walton Hall Park in particular was when we first moved there from Southport, we only actually had one game there before lockdown hit. So, and then obviously it was lockdown, and so there was a bit of a false start, if you like, when we moved there. So it took a while for us to actually start really building up the attendances and get the atmosphere going. But we've really sort of, we definitely have seen the improvement, certainly over the last couple of seasons. The atmosphere is getting there. The atmosphere is incredible now. We've got a full songbook full of songs for each player. At the minimum 2 for each player. Some of them have got as many as 5. And yeah, it's great to see. There's a huge following now. We were there every week and really getting behind the team. I think the other thing that was important as well was to have dedicated supporters, not necessarily just people who wanted to go for the day. And as much as you do want to encourage that, you want to, when families want to bring the kids and things like that, you do want to encourage that, because at the end of the day, they're the future of the sport. We also want to make sure that we have a core of support who are there for the right reasons, there to support the team, there to back the team and stick with them through thick and thin. So it's certainly, we are seeing a great improvement. And like you say, after the Euros in particular, we saw a big boost, and after the World Cup as well.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic, because I think Leah Williamson said something, didn't she, about, I don't just come out of a dark room and play for England. I'm down at Arsenal, come and watch us play. Come and, we're right there, we're down the road. And we're actually talking, Lindsay, weren't we, before, about how when Villa play at Villa Park, it's a great occasion and it's much easier to get to, and it's a day out for the family. But sometimes there's that lack of atmosphere, because maybe if people haven't arranged where a particular singing section is or things like that, it can sometimes feel a bit flat. And you kind of, like you said, you want to support the players and you want to get that singing section started. So have you felt that? Do you get to play many matches at the men's ground? Club ground?
We only played one there last season. We played the derby against Liverpool there, and I believe we'll probably do the same again this season. But yeah, that sort of, we've had the same sort of experience. We find that Walton Hall Park is very sort of intimate and very, you're on top of the pitch almost. It's a very small ground. We've only actually got one complete stand, and then the rest is sort of standing. But what it does give is a really good atmosphere. As I say, it's very tight to the pitch. The crowd are always in good voice. But sometimes when you go to the bigger stadiums, I mean, against Liverpool, we had over 20,000 there. But even then, it wasn't as constant as it is at Walton Hall Park. We don't really tend to stop singing when we're in Walton Hall Park. And we do that when we go, when we play Goodison, we'll do the same thing, but it's a lot harder to fill the ground with the noise than it is when we're at Walton Hall Park. But I mean, I've been to Villas, to Walsall before, and I've really enjoyed it. Again, I like that. That was a stadium, just to sort of go slightly off topic. Like, that stadium is the stadium that we always go past when you go to any away trip. And it's all like, coming from Liverpool, you always go past that stadium, and it was always the stadium, because I go home and away with the men as well. So I sort of I follow both teams, and that was always the stadium that everyone says no one's ever been to there. No one had ever been there. So when I finally got to go, I was absolutely made up, because I finally got to go to the stadium that I'd been driving past for like 20 years. So yeah, I'm a huge fan of that place. But yeah, Villa Park again, another stadium which is what is up there with my favourites, I think.
Yeah, it's got to go on. Lindsay, because you've been going for years, haven't you, to Villa Park and to Bescot? What do you think about the atmosphere?
I think for me, Bescot has got the better atmosphere. The girls always say it's more intimate with the fans. When they're playing, they can hear the chants. And when we've been at a game and they've been making chants, like shouting things out to players, like saying "Maz, don't give her the ball, don't give her the ball," when it's played out because of an injured player and stuff like that. And you can see the players laughing and enjoying and engaging, and they just enjoy that intimacy. Whereas at Villa Park, it's more like a prim and proper type thing. But because it's so, what they've done is they've put us all in one stand, and because they put us all in one stand, it doesn't get the atmosphere that you get like when you see the Arsenal games that have been this season so far, where they've put them all the way around the lower stands and they're already all the way around the pitch, and then you can really get that atmosphere. And I think that's what's missing at Villa Park. It's great, it's really accessible, it's great for families, there's loads they can do, entertainment, engagement, outreach, it's fantastic for that. But Bescot has got the better atmosphere.
Yeah, because I was there for the midweek game, the Country Cup match, and just as soon as you walk in and you're right on the pitch, like you said, you feel like you're right on top of the players, and you're like, I've missed this, because it's so intimate. And yeah, I think, Lindsay, when you were last at Bescot against Chelsea, weren't you? They were like, Alicia, Mark Neve, what are you doing? Get on her. And you can have that kind of intimate banter, can't you?
Yeah.
And then you get a thumbs up from the players, like, yeah, we've heard, we were there. We did. Oh, brilliant. Yeah. And I think as the kind of the core group starts to grow as well, so you get the regular singers, the regular fans, and you get people go, actually, I want to be part of this family. Because do you feel that as well at Everton, that it's a very family, you feel like it connecting with a lot of people a lot more? It's kind of
absolutely, yeah. And we've seen that, like I say, in terms of the growth of our support in particular. We've seen a lot of people now who come and sort of seek us out and come and sit by us, and like little kids as well who come over and get us to start chants for their favourite players and things like that. It is a really really lovely atmosphere. Certainly I haven't been to so many grounds throughout my life, where I've been to a number of different grounds and a number of different atmospheres. Walton Hall Park is up there with one of the friendliest, I think. We do have a lot of banter with the away followers as well, but it never crosses the line. Do you know what I mean? We don't like to, because we are conscious that the atmosphere is just different. As much as you want to have that passion and you want to have, that you want to back your team from the first minute till the last, I think that there's a certain line that shouldn't be crossed. I think that's a certain line which has been crossed far too much when it comes to the men's game, and it's something that I believe shouldn't be lost when we're going to watch the WSL games, because I think, like you say, we want to encourage young families to go. We want to encourage the next generation, and we want these kids to see their heroes and be inspired, and we don't want them going home being inspired the wrong way with some bad language and things to take home with them. Do you know what I mean? It's I think we're all very conscious of that, and we want to make sure that it is welcoming. And again, it's just great to see. In terms of away following as well, we've seen a massive increase in away following. Some of the teams in particular might be a bit more boisterous than others, if that's fair to say. But we appreciate it. We like it. We like having the battles with them. We like having the little to and fro. We like hearing their chants. We like it. Well, we don't like it so much when they nick ours, but it's great. I think it's growing all the time, and I think it's credit to a lot of people who've put a lot of hard work in over the years as well.
And that's the thing kind of with football clubs, they need the fans, don't they? And they realise, actually, especially we've been going through a tough time the start of the season, and lots of questions were put out about, should Carla stay, should she go? And we were like, at the end of the day, the fans have got to be there to support. Yes, we'll be fair. Yes, we'll have our opinions and things like that. But at the end of the day, they're our club, and we're gonna support, and we're gonna want to be there. And it's all come out good in the end. Currently on a winning streak, but we'll talk about that in a bit. Sorensen's been in charge. This is second season in charge. Yeah. How do you think Everton have performed over the last couple of seasons? Are they where they should be, where you want them to be? Kind of how summer transfer window, that kind of thing. How are you feeling about where you are right now?
Well, I think first of all, when he came in, we were in a bit of a mess, to be honest with you, because the previous season we'd actually gone through 3 different managers. Willie Kirk had been sacked very early on in the season after a couple of really bad results, having spent a lot of money. We had a lot of upheaval in the boardroom area, with someone, people leaving. Jean-Luc Fassor came in, only lasted a handful of games until he was shown the door, unceremoniously, it must be added. And then Chris Roberts, our assistant, who's still assistant now, it took over and saw us out till the end of the season and managed to keep, to sort of galvanise the team together and start grinding out some results. So when Brian Sørensen came in, it was a huge job for him to come into, in terms of just steadying the ship. For one, he needed to get confidence back in the players. He needed to bring his own players in. He needed to refresh the squad a little bit. And obviously he wanted to implement a complete change in the style of football that we were playing. Brian likes to play a lot of possession-based football. I think it's something that short term we've got to be very patient with it. If he's talking long term, his vision for it is that eventually we won't make the mistakes that we're making. But I feel that at the moment we seem to be getting punished quite a lot for that style of football. There are occasions where we seem so intent on keeping possession of a football that we actually forget that the overall job is to score goals at the end of it. And occasionally we've been punished for that in really dangerous positions. So I'm sure that's something he wants to work on and something that he will be wanting to improve. But overall, I think he's done an admirable job under really difficult circumstances. I think everyone knows about the noise around Everton Football Club as a whole over the last couple of seasons. It's been a really difficult time for everyone at the club. Not helped them, I'm sure, by lack of funding, which is a massive shame. So I think, going back to what you said about supporters as well, I think one thing we've got to really bear in mind with Brian Sørensen is that this is hopefully a long-term project of his. And obviously results haven't gone our way at the start of the season, but I've got to keep faith with him that we'll turn a corner and the results will come.
Yeah, no, really well said though. Yeah, because you can't be a fair weather fan, can you? You can't just show up when they're winning and doing well. Like, if they're your club, you go week in, week out. You stand in the rain, you get a bit miserable, but you do it all again the next week.
I think that's it though. Sometimes, sorry to interrupt, but sometimes as well, I get this with you get certain fan groups or fans of certain clubs who tend to look down at teams who aren't necessarily in that top 2 or 3 or 4 even. And I always look at them and think, do you know what? It's easy to support your clubs when you're winning every week, and it's when the going gets tough and when teams don't have good starts, the likes of Aston Villa, massive hopes for this season. Now you seem to have turned the corner. Well, the fans who've stuck with the Villa players from the start of the season, they're the ones that the players are going to remember at the end of the season. They're the ones who are going to get them through any rut, and I think that's what we've got to do as Evertonians, and we've got to. It's not accepting defeat. One thing I'll never do is accept a player giving up. But if a player gives it all for me and for my badge, I'll back them all the way.
Yeah, absolutely, because you want that fire, don't you, and that passion. And we said, Lindsay, didn't we? The difference in the first couple of games was as soon as the opposition scored, kind of heads went down and it was, game over essentially. But then the last couple of games, we said, didn't we, that kind of even if we conceded, it was like, right, they're not going to get the better of us now. Lindsay, what do you think that change was? Do you think it was kind of that influence from the fans and that confidence?
Yeah, I think some of it will be Carla Ward's motivation, because there was that half time where she marched everybody, literally the subs, the staff, everybody into the dressing room, and I can't imagine her giving them a dressing down in a nasty way, because she just doesn't seem the type to be an Emma Hayes and go crazy at them and give a piece of her mind. But I'm sure she did it in her special way, which will have them all not taking it to heart, but being inspired to go out there and play. And I think the support of the fans, if I put myself in an outsider's shoes, the support of the fans this season, with the run that we had at the beginning of the season, the fact that we've all come out in support of Carla Ward, we've been getting hashtags to trend like in Carla We Trust, Carla Ward's Claret and Blue Army, all that kind of thing. And I think that for her and for the team makes them think, all these people are backing us and believing in us. So we've got to go out there and repay that trust. And I think it is a good motivation that even when, things aren't great, we're still cheering them on, we're still singing the player chants and all that kind of thing. Well, I'm not, because my voice is gone by that point, but everybody else is. And we're all cheering them on. And I think that's just so good for them and their mental health, and also the contact that they're having on social media, aside from the usual trolls, that they've got not fair weather support, but supporters in the bad times and the good times.
Forgot to mute myself there. Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's having that voice, because we've said before, kind of social media can be a phenomenal place. It can also be a very toxic place. So you need to just be respectful, but still, if you've got an opinion, say it, fine. But it's how you do it, and it's your wording, isn't it? And kind of being supportive and truthful, and kind of just, I don't know, Lindsay, what do we try and do? Try and be...
It's sugarcoat the constructive criticism, really, isn't it? So that they leave the room shaking your hand, but actually you just torn them a new one. That kind of that's the best way of putting it. But I know that Carla Ward has probably perfected that, because she's just so nice, isn't she? Like, you can't not like Carla.
Yeah, the Carla magic. So we've touched briefly there about kind of the start of the season, and kind of there's not much between Villa and Everton. I think it's 1 point. So really coming up to this weekend is going to be a massive game. So how are you feeling, Peter, about going into it? Kind of initial thoughts about how it's going to pan out.
Well, I think first of all, I think the players have got to get over the disappointment of last weekend very quickly. I think when we had this run of form, we've kind of been losing every week. We managed to get a good draw away at Tottenham, but other than that, we've been losing game after game since the Derby victory. So I think that, going in, with all due respect to Bristol, I think last weekend's game at home to Bristol would have been one that we had our eyes on as potentially one to get 3 points out of, and to be leading twice in the game, and to be pegged back twice, and certainly in the manner of which we gave the goals away. I think that the team will be massively disappointed, and I think the team will be raring to go. I think they'll have been looking forward to getting back out on the pitch, because that's the only place you can ever answer your critics. That's the only place you can put things right, is to get out there and give your all again. And I'm sure the players will be ready for that. It's been a difficult start to the season. We lost a number of really experienced and really important players in the summer. Certainly, with Gabby George going so late in the window, I think that really affected us as well. We weren't able to replace her. And the two players who you would play in that position, Sarah Holmgard and Elise Stenovic, have been injured for a lot of this season. Sarah's thankfully back on the pitch now, and played about an hour last week. So we're hoping to get her fully fit. But certainly, without making excuses, I do feel that once we get a fully fit squad back and a fully fit team back, I think that's when you'll see the real Everton. I think that's when we'll start really sort of picking up results and picking up points. I just hope it doesn't take too long, to be honest with you, because I know that the league's so tight, it only takes a couple of wins and you start flying up that league, as Villa I'm sure will prove. But yeah, it's a case, when you're not winning the home games that you believe you should be, that's when you start getting a little bit worried. But having said that, I've got every faith in this group of players. I'm sure we'll be okay. Come the end of the season. It's also a big blow as well. I'm sure you're going to talk about it in particular. Martina Piemonte, who started the season, sort of a bit of a stop-start season with her injury that she picked up in the second game against Leicester. she managed to get her first goal last weekend. Fantastic goal as well. Played really well. And now we found out she's suspended for 3 games. So that kind of sums up our season, to be honest with you.
So let's talk about it now, because you were, So people who've been listening to our podcast for a while will know I've been raving on about Martina Piemonte. Watched her at Milan last season. Thought she was fantastic. Like, right, we need her in the WSL. And then when I knew a contract was coming up and there weren't any announcements that she'd re-signed, I was like, okay, could this be, a turning point? And I'd actually put on our socials, didn't I, Lindsay? Would love to see her in the WSL. Tagged her.
She liked it, didn't she? And she liked it very quickly.
And she liked it. And I was like, oh, okay, that could be something. And then it was announced, Everton. I was like, yes, she's going to be in. She's going to be brilliant. And yeah, you're right. She kind of had that injury, and then she was out for a bit, and then she was so close to getting her name on the score sheet quite a few times, hasn't she? And it's kind of, she's one of those players where as soon as she gets started, I think she's gonna be on one, and she's just gonna smash the rest of the season. So she picked up a yellow in the game. They were going for the header, weren't they? And just kind of came together. And I think she might have got a little elbow in or something. But it was soft, wasn't it? Like I don't think that should have been a yellow.
No,
not at all.
Not considering it was a very physical game. It always is with Martina. She is a very physical player, and to be fair, but the centre halves give it as good as they get. You know what I mean? It's I don't think she gets enough protection myself, but at the same time, there's nothing wrong with a bit of physical contact between a centre forward and a centre half. But I couldn't understand the booking at all.
No, because that ref, I've watched him quite a few times. We've said before, haven't we, Lindsay? Like, he's quite like, let it go, kind of let the game flow. So he's not really like a cardy ref. That's a technical term for it. And then suddenly that was a yellow. And I was like, so you think sometimes, don't you? Maybe it's more the reaction of the other player that makes it seem a bit worse than it actually is, because she went like clattered down, didn't she? Like holding onto her shoulder, I think. And I was a bit like, oh, well, that didn't look like there's much in it. So that was a strange one anyway. And then obviously went off at 80 minutes, I think. And then today when the news came out, because I think it was Emma Sanders, I follow her. And I was like, she's been suspended. And I was like, I'm going to have to watch this game again. So I'll watch from the yellow onwards, because I thought, oh, maybe she's done something else to get like a second yellow or a red. But did you see it the first time through when you were watching it?
No, but I have actually. Someone's actually posted the clip in reply to the Everton Women Twitter page. So one of our members actually managed to find what it is we think that they're referring to, and it's bizarre. It's bizarre. It's have you seen? Is it the same thing I'm thinking of, where they sort of come together in the 6-yard box? Oh, is it a hair pull? Is that what happens?
Yeah. So so I had to watch it. So I had like my Hawkeye glasses on. And I sent it to you, didn't I, Lindsay? And I was like, right, I think this is it, because it's the only thing, again, I could find, because everyone was going, there's no information. It's just a off the ball moment. They haven't released anything. So I was watching it. And of course, the camera quality was abysmal. That poor man kept having to wipe the screen every 5 minutes. But that's a different conversation. And you just kind of see them, they're having a bit of a push and a shove, as you'd expect. And then suddenly you just see kind of...
She gets folded like a piece of paper, doesn't she? She just goes straight to ground.
And again, and it doesn't help that Martina is so physical that probably she's done like a bit of a tug, but to the other player, I can't remember who it was, so my apologies, but she just completely goes down. But then even on the commentary, it was, player has stopped, players aren't sure why. Everyone completely missed it. So the fact that the club were like, oh, we're not going to appeal it, everyone was like, well, if it's that obvious, what did we all miss? Like,
that's a bit that gets me, because like you say, I mean, when I look back at it, obviously we were in the ground, so we didn't quite realize that the camera was in such a bad way with the guy having to wipe it all the time. But having looked back at it, I mean, how can you definitively... I mean, I've watched it back. I'll have to watch it back again now, because I didn't realize it was a hair pull. I just saw them coming together, and then the defender sort of go down. But I didn't quite understand where the contact was. But a hair pull kind of makes sense now. But I wouldn't say it's conclusive, like in terms of like really violent conduct for a 3-match ban. But I don't know if she has pulled her hair, and then you know, that is obviously you know, she shouldn't be doing that at all. I think she's actually come out on her own Instagram and pretty much said the same. She's held her hands up and said that, you know, she's passionate and she wants to fight for the club. And she apologized to Evertonians. You know, it is what it is, you know.
Yeah, it's.
Yeah, we're kind of used to it at Everton now, to be honest with you, of getting weird punishment. So it's just another day.
It's a bit like Kirsty Hansen, though, isn't it? If you think about it, the Kirsty Hansen one, which was a yellow, not a red. And then when it was appealed, they said, no, it's 3 matches. Yet 2 other players for other teams got red cards and they got 1 match banned, and it was just not proportional. So I think, I don't want to sound conspiracy theorist, but it does seem like it depends on which team you play for as to how long the bans go on for. And it's such a shame that that's come from the men's game to the women's game. It might just be that the refs are, you've got to give out so many cards and it's the luck of the draw. But so it just seems, I was watching Risha Littlejohn and Lucy Quinn's podcast not with 90 Minutes earlier, and they were saying at the start of the season there's a lot of cars flying out left, right and centre, and now there's a lot of yellow cars flying out left, right and centre, and they're not even relevant to what's actually going on. So there must be something going on at the FA and with the reffing community that is making these decisions happen, because some of them just absolutely absurd.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah,
100%.
especially going back after the fact and going, oh, actually, that's now a 3-match ban. It just,
that's it's a fact that I just don't see how conclusive it is to actually to jump to a 3-match ban, unless there's another. We only have 1 camera at Walton Park, and it's that one covered in rain. So unless I've missed something where someone's got a phone in their hand or something and it's clear, but even so, I don't know. I think it's a strange one for me. It is. But
I'm trying to get. So I managed to get the clip, and I had to play it back. And it literally, probably can't see this, but I mean, the grainiest imagery ever through the rain. It's kind of, like, that's it. Yeah. That's how bad the picture is of the actual thing. And I think the only reason it was kind of a hair pull was that interaction happened, but then as the camera panned to the defender talking to the ref, she was like, she got my hair. So it was that actual, this is what she's done. It's her. She was proper pointing like it was her. And then Martina's obviously standing there going, what? I didn't do anything. Yeah, didn't touch her. It's fine. But like you said, she's passionate and she's got that fire, and it seems like she's really taken on the Everton persona really, really quickly. And she's like, yeah, I'm going to fight for you. Like, this is
hungry, isn't she?
Yeah, hungry for that goal. And also now being called up again for the Italian squad now that she's not injured. So fingers crossed, she can get on striking form again and then be back on target for years. Because one of my questions was going to be, now that she's found her striking form, how much of a threat do you think she's going to be on Sunday? So without Martina, who have Villa kind of got to look out for in the Everton team on Sunday?
Well, I think Katja Snoyce is probably due another goal. Katja Snoyce, who, again, another player who's out injured at the start of the season. She picked up a hand injury just before the start of the season, away on international duty. Katja, I think, is probably our biggest threat, just because she can be quiet for 89 minutes, but then she'll come out. She'll just come out with a goal. She's one of those sort of players where even if she's not having her best game in terms of on the ball, she'll always be a threat. She's so busy in behind the back four. Her movement's fantastic. She likes to come deep sometimes and play it off, and she can finish. So I think Katja Snoyce is the one for me who will be one of the biggest threats for us. Nico Sørensen has just announced their retirement as well, which is a massive shock for us. I would have said Nico. I think she will still play. I think she'll still play till January. I think she'll be wanting to give it all as well, which she always has. I mean, in terms of how she plays and how she performs, you would never think it was someone who'd lost their love of football, because she plays to 100% every time she gets on the pitch and every time she represents us. So she'll certainly be getting our backing from now till January, when she unfortunately retires. So Nico's another one. I think Aurora Ghali, it was in the presses today that Aurora Ghali's a doubt as well, which is a big blow for us, potentially a big boost for Villa, to be honest with you, because I know that Yaya scored a winner as well. Scored a winner against Villa away before, which was before this season, her first goal, her only goal for Everton before she scored a penalty against Spurs. So she'll be a big loss for us. But yeah, we've got plenty of talent in that squad. I think Alyssa Ahern hasn't really had a chance yet. She's on loan from Manchester United. Good attacking player, but again, young. She's not quite at the same level that Jess Park was when she came on loan to us last season. But I think Alyssa at some point will come in and do a great job for us. Emma Bissell as well, another player. I think Emma Bissell offers us pace, offers us direct running, and she's got a hell of a shot in us. So we do have options, but for me, one of the players that I'm looking forward to seeing and saying hello to again is Simone McGill for Aston Villa. Because I had to speak about Simone really quickly, because when you were talking about Martina Piemonte and about how she has that fight in that battle, although Simone doesn't have the physical size of Martina Piemonte, Simone has all those attributes in abundance, and she's a player who we absolutely adore at Everton. Absolutely adore her. She literally epitomised everything you want to see in an Everton player while she was with us. She has that grit and determination and that fight and desire, and she's a menace for absolutely anyone she comes up against. So we'll have to keep an eye out for Simone on Sunday if she plays.
Yeah, she's brilliant, because again, she felt like a new signing, didn't she, last season, Lindsay, because she was out with injury, didn't actually play until the very end of the season, am I right?
Yeah, last 2 games she got some minutes in, but not a lot.
And then she went away with Northern Ireland and then came back with a knock. And then finally is now getting back in the swing of it, getting some minutes again. And in the, again, Conti Cup match midweek, as soon as her, Rich, Kirsty and Kenza came on, it was just magic. And I was like, Villa's back. Because like you said about injuries, Villa have been absolutely plagued, haven't we, Lindsay, with injuries. And we got down to, the 1-2 subs in the kit man, I think, at the end last season.
It was pretty bad last season, but we know that Carla Ward likes a small squad, which might be better for her for bonding, and she can get to know the players better, but it's an absolute crucifix for us because we don't have enough players when we get injuries, and when we have players out, we just don't have the depth, which when you look at the bigger, well, I say bigger teams, the teams that are higher up the league that have got international after international that they can bring on, and we're looking at it and we're bringing out one of the under 18s, which is no disrespect to them, but we're pushing for higher up the league. We should be having a bit better coming off the bench, but I'm grateful to be able to see the youngsters coming through, and getting the opportunity to see who we can keep and who we can loan out, who we can develop, who we can get money for, and build the squad. So it's kind of a double-edged sword, really.
No, I was going to say, while we're talking about it, what are our threats going to be on Sunday?
So if we start with Simone's in the press conference today, or was it yesterday, they said that she's working towards getting more minutes, but she's not fully 90-minute fit yet. So she's going to be a threat. Dree has been a massive threat in the last few games. She's been on fire. She's had a point to prove in the last games. And I think she's going to be such a physical challenge for Everton to deal with, because she's got pace, she's got skill, and she glides past people, and she's got quite I don't know how to put this politely. I don't want to upset anybody, but she's got a presence to her where she can be quite physical and really make herself known. The only other player I know that can do that is Millie Bright, but obviously in different ways. Kirsty Hansen down the wing again. Kenza Dali, our superstar, is back from injury.
Our magician,
our magician is back. I think she's going to be crafting a few things, but also Ebony Salmon's hit a run of form, and Rach Daly is our reliable. So I think we've got a lot of threats, and also the way that we're playing at the moment, we're playing with some of our deep players coming forward. So Maz Pacheco and Sarah Mailing as well. In fact, it's just all of them. All of them are going to be a threat, but I think it's going to be down the wings are going to be where we're going to be our most deadly, and it's whether Everton can handle that, and then Rach Daly in the middle picking up any loose balls.
Yeah, no, good. How nice is it to say that all of them are a threat? That's quite nice, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. We just need a Daphne to score now, don't we? We
do, yeah. I was going to say Rach can go in goal because we saw that goal line clearance, and then we'll get Daphne up.
Absolutely, because we got a bet on. I did a tweet saying that she's won the golden boot, so she's going for the golden glove now to get the full compliment. So yeah, she can go and go, and we'll put Daphne up front.
Talking of full compliments, I heard the stat the other day that Everton is the only team that Rachel Daly hasn't scored against in the WSL.
Oh, really? Oh,
Sunday. That was Mike that man who gave me that one. He mentioned it. He mentioned it last week, and I thought, why have you just said that? And why have I just said that on here as well? Because I've just it's nailed on now, isn't it? Just get all your money, put it on there.
No, I think it's going to be a really tight game because we've got two teams that are fighting, that are passionate for it, that are because Everton, like you said, they've got something to prove, haven't they? And they've got to come out and get that win and form back. And then for Villa, it's that confidence of, well, we're on a good run. We don't want to lose it. So let's have some quick predictions. Peter, what are you thinking?
I hate this because I always get it wrong. So I'm just going to I'm going to go with my head, and I'm going to say a draw. I'm going to say it's going to be 1-1. I think Villa will take a lead early, and then we'll rally and get a goal back, and it'll end up 1-1. I think that's all I'm going to go. Megan Finnegan to get another goal, our superstar at the back, and probably Kenza Dali to score for Villa, because did you know, isn't it crazy how some players just totally suit aside? Because Kenza really struggled when she was at Everton, and there are so many former Everton players in that Villa side. For example, Dan Turner, another player who we absolutely love, Alicia Lehman, obviously Kenza, Shani Boyclaw, who was there last season. She obviously left now, but Kenza just didn't quite work at Everton. But I think, to be fair to Kenza, she was in that stage. I was talking about like that time when we had 3 managers in one season. She was bang in the middle of all that happening. So I kind of felt for Kenza, because I think that she was one of the players in particular who needed that stability around her. So I'm glad to see that she's doing well with Villa. But yeah, 1-1 is the answer.
No, I can see it being 1-1. It's going to be tight. Lindsay, what do you reckon?
I don't know. I've got 2 in my head. One is 3-1 win to Villa, but don't worry. Part of me is also saying 2-2 because we aren't clicking yet. We are shipping goals, and Everton have got a threat in them, and we've got a mistake in us. So I think it'll be tight, and somebody will go 2-1, 2-0 up, and then it'll get clawed back. So I don't really know which way to sit on the fence, but I think there'll be lots of goals. Yeah,
I think it might be like another West Ham late winner, 92nd minute.
Yeah,
top corner. I think that's the harshest when that happens right at the end, isn't it? You managed to fight off for that long. I remember because I grew up supporting Sunderland, still do in the women's, and they held off Durham right until the last couple of minutes, and then they equalised, and then because it was Conti Cup, it went to penalties, and then Durham won on penalties. I was like, oh, it's just
it's the best way to win, but it's the worst way to lose, isn't it? It's horrible.
Yeah.
The best way, it's the absolute best way to win a game, but it's horrendous when it goes against you. And as an Evertonian, it more often not goes against us. So I'm used to it again.
it's going to be a good one for both fans, but also for the neutral as well. I think it's going to be a really tight one. And something else me and Lindsay have been talking about is kind of all the international breaks that have been happening, because it feels like it was the World Cup. They were back for a couple, then they were away again, back for a couple, and of course next week Lionesses are at Wembley. Are you going down?
No, I won't be going down to Wembley. I obviously went to a load of the Euros games when we were over here. But in terms of, I won't be going down to Wembley for that. I'll be honest with you, the international breaks really annoy me. The amount of them.
That's what I was going to ask you. How do you feel about kind of how often they are? I mean, it's disruptive, isn't it?
It's so hard to get any kind of fluidity with how you're playing and players. It's so hard to even plan ahead for a manager if your players are going away. If you've got a number of internationals away on international duty every 3 or 4 weeks, which it seems to be at the moment, it just seems totally unsustainable to me. And when you look at the amount of injuries that are occurring as well, I don't think it's any coincidence that so many of these players end up picking up serious injuries because they just don't get a break. And I just think that, people talk about fixture congestion and things like that. The simple option is just to reduce the amount of international games, or rotate the squads a little bit better. Or there's got to be a better solution than these players constantly having to travel and go away and then coming back. Claire Wheeler, for example, she was away with Australia. I think she got back on the Friday and played on the Sunday after flying from Australia. Can't be any good for her whatsoever. But if you don't have the squad of players like some of the top teams where they've got, like you said before, 25, 30 international players, how are you meant to compete without actually just throwing players in when they probably shouldn't be? I think it's something that needs to be looked at, and I think it's something which needs to be addressed, and they need to have a serious think about how many, whether they want it domestically or if they just want to have internationals. Because it kind of feels to me a bit like the domestic league almost comes across as a feeder league for the international teams, which I don't think it should be.
No, and it's you'd think they'd have maybe kind of one longer break if that's what they needed to, but the fact that it's been 2 smaller segmented ones. When Villa were in quite a rut at the beginning and it was the international break, it was half of you wanted the international break for kind of a breather, a regroup, a kind of a really big think about, what's going wrong, what can we do? But then the other half is, like you said before, get out the pitch, prove everyone wrong, shut the critics up. And Lindsay, what do you think that there's another international break so soon?
It frustrates me because like we were saying, it's almost like who's the priority? Is it the club matches that are the priority, or is it the internationals that are the priority? And it's surely playing, like Anna Patton said in an interview recently, you should focus on your club football, and then the internationals come as a benefit for being good. But then it's almost like the internationals are a punishment because you're not well, she didn't say this bit, but I'm saying this bit. But it's like the internationals are punishment because you do well at your club level and then you get selected for your country, which you're never going to say no to, and then you don't get any rest time, you don't get any downtime, you don't get any recovery time, and you're travelling all over the place, and it's just not fair. And also you can't get in a rhythm, and it's like, who is your team? Is it a club that's your team or the international that's your team? Because there's some players in the last 12 months that's played more minutes for their country than they have for their club, and Simone McGill's one of them. And it's just like, how's that fair on the players? And surely if the clubs are paying their main wages, then they should be getting the best out of players rather than picking them up when they come back from international duty with injury. Look at Millie Bright, she's had to come out the Lioness camp, and it's just, and Emma Hayes did ring fence her to try and get her fit, and it's like, it's just not fair on these players. It's almost like they're pushing them to the ground and working to the ground, and it might work for the men's game, but even the men seem to get more of a break than the women do, and yet the men's league has got more games in it, and it's like, why is it the way that it is? It baffles me, but something needs to give, because when we had COVID hit, that was the first time some of the players had a break in years, and that was the first time they had. So I think they just need like a complete shutdown of a month or 6 weeks, even if they train like lightly to keep their fitness levels up, but just give them a break. Put them on the beach for 2 weeks and say, right, you can have an ice cream every day and just watch your calories, but you can have an ice lolly and have some beach and some sun, and just give them that break, that downtime, because it must be bad for their mental health.
Yeah, definitely. And quite a few players have come out and said it's been quite mentally tough, and quite a few see kind of therapists and stuff now, don't they, to kind of talk through and make sense of everything that's going on, because it is so hard. And then speaking of Chelsea, you add Champions League into the mix. And what was it that played Wednesday and came back early Thursday morning, or played Thursday, came back Friday, and then played on the Saturday? And it's like, well, who's looking at fixtures? Who's looking at scheduling? Who's sort your scheduling out, sort your fixtures, and just put the players first. So Peter, you coming on Sunday?
So Sunday is a bit of a sore point for me because I was ready to go there. I was supposed to be going. But because of everything that's gone on with Everton Football Club as a whole this week, I'm actually going to be stuck at Goodison to hand out flyers. We're doing a big protest against the Premier League. So I've actually volunteered to do that, which is pretty devastating for me, to be honest with you. And I just don't think I can. I've tried to figure out a way to do both, but it's impossible. It's too far to travel. I won't be able to get back in time. So I'll be a number of our supporters club will be going. Julie Macon, who runs our supporters club, will be there. Fiona, Meg, a number of others. Amy as well. Amy will be the loudest person in that crowd. Is all I can describe her as. She's absolutely brilliant. She'll have 2 flags. She'll be waving them for the whole game. She'll be singing every song at the top of her lungs. So she'll make up for any lost noise with me not being there. But yeah, it's a real sort of just to give you an idea of just how much I think this has impacted us as Evertonians this week. I think it is the knock-on effect which is felt the most in terms of because of the situation the club's found itself in over the last few years due to a lot of mismanagement at the top. I think the Everton fans have made it very clear over the last few years what we felt about the running of the club. And it feels like a real kick in the teeth for us to then be the ones who, let's be honest, get punished. Because a points deduction doesn't do anything for the people who sit in a boardroom, or the people who've left now, by the way. A lot of people, the people who were actually making these decisions have all gone. They've all left the club, other than the owner who's looking to sell. But unfortunately, the knock-on effect is that anything that happens to the men's side has that knock-on effect onto our women's side. The fact that we're having reduced, clearly having reduced funds, we're having to reduce the wage bill, which is evident with the signings we're having to make. The fact that Walton Hall Park isn't getting the investment that we were promised kind of shows as well that things are not going in the right direction. So it's massively important that we make that clear on Sunday at Goodison Park to show our displeasure at the way Everton Football Club and its fans and its community have been treated. Because as I say, it's not just about the men's team. It's not just about the points deduction in the Premier League. It could basically threaten the future of the entire club, including all of the community projects that Everton do as well with Everton and the community. So it's a huge it's a huge thing. If people think that Everton protesting is about sour grapes because we've been caught out doing something really wrong, it's far from that. I think it's just about the fact that the punishment seems overzealous and unjust compared to how other clubs have maybe behaved over the last few years and seem to have gotten away with a hell of a lot worse than overpaying because of a payment for a stadium. Sorry, I had to get that off my chest.
No, that's fine. Because I was thinking it's kind of the straw that kind of brought the camel's back, isn't it? It's maybe building for a while, and then this is happening. It's like, right, we need to get our voices first. As fans, again, all of the revenue, all of the everything that goes into a club. Because Lindsay, you wanted to ask about that, didn't you?
I was just going to say that I agree. I think the whole Everton thing, it's not. It does seem one rule for one rule for another, and it's such a shame that it's happened to a club that can't absorb the punishment in the severity that's been given as easily as some of the other clubs that are just a law unto themselves, and it will really destroy the core of the club, and I don't want to see that happen to any club. And I'm just upset that through honesty and transparency, you guys have been punished when there's other teams that are out there doing a lot of underhand stuff, and it's just been ignored completely.
I think as well, when you look at Aston Villa in particular as well, fantastic club, a club who I always sort of compare Everton to in terms of, you know, a club with a fantastic history, fantastic fan base, really loyal supporters who've been through a lot, supporters who've had bad owners in the past as well and managed to get through it. So I always look at teams like Villa, and I always think that, you know, Aston Villa are one of the teams that epitomises what English football should be, in my opinion. That goes across the board in the men's game and the women's game, obviously. And when I see the behaviours of other clubs, it's when I see other clubs who, for example, when 6 teams try to break away and go into a Super League, create a Super League, and basically destroy the fabric of English football as we know it, and they ended up basically getting away with it. They didn't get a points deduction. They didn't get they got a £3 million fine each, I think it was. It's nothing. It's dropping the ocean for them. It's nothing.
It's pennies.
And I just feel that the likes of us, the likes of Aston Villa, West Ham, another one, you know, we're teams who are actually part of the very fabric of football in this country. But at the same time, I feel like we're the type of teams who are vulnerable because we might have the audacity to try and challenge that sort of top elite that seems to have been designated by the people at the very top of the league, or leagues, I should say, because it's a trend which I think as well, it's kind of mirrored in the women's game to an extent as well, when you see the same team sort of at the top, towards the top end as well, and you start talking about how do you make it fair, how do you get a level playing field, how can you really compete, what do you need to do to really compete in the WSL the same way that, you know, what can you do to compete in the Premier League? And the answer is money. Yeah. Unfortunately, money seems to be the thing that talks loudest and the thing that gets things done. And unfortunately, if you don't have it, you don't get away with anything.
Yeah, and it's in WSL especially, it's kind of like the top 4 and the bottom 8, isn't it? Like, because there's such a gap in between. And you think, you know, Bristol, when they came up, everyone kind of wrote them off, didn't they? They were like, oh, they've got fire, they've got passion, but it's Bristol. But actually, they nearly got Arsenal the other night. I mean, like, twice in the league and in the cup. And you just think, you know, don't rule any club out on kind of what you think, what you know, and don't let the bigger clubs kind of get a buy just because of the name and just because of who they are. But yeah, we wish you all the best of luck on Sunday. You're right, you're making a fantastic point, making a fantastic stand, and it needs to be done, doesn't it? Because they can't keep getting away with it.
Well, I think that's it. And but again, it's the flip side of it as well. Is that I want to be like, I don't know how to put it. For me, through all of the times over the last few seasons where Everton Football Club has been through the ringer in terms of everything to do with ownership and everything, the one sort of shining light that I've had is going to Walton Park and watching our women's side and watching them players fight for our badge and fight for that shirt. And it's something which I, you know, will always appreciate, because I think that they're a team who kind of epitomise what I want to see in an Everton side. And it's just a shame that I won't be able to go to this game that I was looking forward to because of things that are kind of out of our control. It's something that needs to be done. We need to make a stand. So it's a shame, but yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah, you're right. It needs to be done. And at least you know that you would have been there and you will be sporting and you can watch it on catch up. You can get it. And then the reverse fixture, hopefully, I will be coming to that one. We'll see if you can come to that one.
We've got a little presentation for Simone McGill as well when she comes.
Oh, have you? Oh, amazing.
So I'll give you a shout when that's happening.
Oh, that'd be brilliant.
It's been in my house for about a year. We've got her a little something, but it's literally been in my house for like the past year because obviously she got injured. So yeah, looking forward to the return leg.
That will be fantastic. And hopefully I will get to see Martina Piemonte up close on the fixture. That's what I was looking forward to on Sunday, getting to see her finally. But there we go. Is everyone else frozen, or is it just me?
Sort of. Your audio's working now, but your video's gone off.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, it's fine. The audio always works. So maybe that's a sign that we need to wrap it up. That would be but yeah, so just finally then, so we've talked about kind of the start to the season, the impact kind of, especially things like money and things like that have had on the club. How do you want the club to grow in the future? Because I know you talk about Walton Hall Park getting more improvements and things like that, but what's going to really make Everton a team to really compete and challenge for those higher positions, do you think?
Well, I think first of all, as much as we may grumble a little bit about some of the playing style, I think it's important that we stick to the manager. I think we need to back the manager. I think we need to give him the funds to be able to bring in the players that he wants, and we need to have patience. I think patience is key for Everton at the moment, and I think that's the thing that's going to set us up for long-term success. Is that we have to be patient. We have one of the youngest sides in the WSL on average. And I think that Everton is a fantastic place for young players to come and develop as footballers. And I just think that we need to, as I say, show that little bit of patience and hopefully bring those players up and bring those players through. And I think that's a good way that we can compete without sort of overstretching ourselves financially. But certainly the manager needs backing, and like you've touched on Walton Hall Park, developing that properly and going through with the plans that the club has spoken about in terms of building two other stands, not just the one. I think that is crucial as well for the future of the club, to be able to maximise revenue and also to house all of the supporters who want to go there. So yeah, it's kind of a double-edged sword. We need to attack it on all fronts, I think.
No, that sounds like a plan to me. I've just turned into a black box now. That's always good. Never mind. But because Sunderland's ground, Appleton, is very similar to Walton Hall Park, I think. There's only kind of one stand and you can just kind of go all the way around it. And again, it's a lovely atmosphere. But you just think, right, okay, if we're growing the women's game, we know we're getting more people in. Let's provide for them and let's show them kind of what this club means. And Lindsay, do you reckon we need Bescot upgrades?
Yeah, I think we're starting to outgrow the Bescot. When we first went there, we were getting gates of 500, 1,000, and now we're consistently getting 3,000-4,000 upwards. And we're now starting to fill out the 3 stands of the stadium that we're allowed to buy in. And I think that is a real testament to the Lionesses and what they brought home with the Euros and the growth of the game. But I think if we invest in the stewarding, in the quality of stewarding, the resources that we've got there, the parking, because parking is always a nightmare around there, but also in the CCTV cameras, the cameras that they've got for the recording, because then the players will get better feedback on their performance in line with the statistics that they've got on their little crop top things with their little GPS in the back. And I think it will really help them get their quality up. I can't get my words out today. I don't know what's happening. It'll help them get their quality up, and it'll be big. But I think we kind of need a ground that's our own.
So what we'll do, Peter, we'll wrap that up then as everything is going haywire. So thank you very much for coming on. It's been absolutely lovely. Best of luck for Sunday. Let us know how it goes. But yeah, hopefully, I was going to say we can't really get a result that we both want, really, can't we? Because we both want to win. But we'll take a draw if it comes down to it. But yeah,
we can get together and from now till the end of the season do our best to relegate West Ham instead of either of us.
Yeah, we'll let Carla and Brian know. That's the game plan.
Yeah, that's the game plan. Both of us get a point on Sunday, then we can crack on with relegating one of the other teams. Yeah, sounds harsh.
No, that sounds perfect to me. But yeah, and hopefully can get you again for return fixture, and hopefully we'll get to say hello when that happens.
Yeah, and again, just to add any Villa fans, when we do play at Walton Hall Park, make sure you get down there as well. Make sure you get up even, and again, we've actually got some fans of other clubs who actually come for random games. Anyway, we've got a group of Man City fans who come to Walton Park like regularly now, just to come and watch Everton and come and join in with us. So again, anyone's more than welcome if they want to come and have a visit. Yeah, just turn up anytime.
Perfect. No, selling it well. Thank you very much. Well, have a lovely rest of your weekend. Thank you very much. Thank you to everyone for watching / listening. Hope this turns out okay. God knows what video and audio we've got. So thank you very much, and we'll see everyone next time. Goodbye.